It was my wedding day, and as I stood there in my white dress, my entire future shattered with one sentence. Mandy exposed Richard's betrayal while everyone watched. I remember the gasp that rippled across the room like a wave. Richard, my dashing fiancé with sharp features, turned pale, caught in the harsh spotlight of truth. Mandy, my sister, with a determined look, was unwavering, facing the crowd as she shattered my dream. Her voice was steady, as if she believed she was doing a necessary thing. Betrayal tasted bitter as I whispered, "How could you?" My voice trembled as the betrayal felt like a physical force. I was supposed to walk down the aisle, not confront a liar. The thread holding my fantasy world snapped. My dreams tangled in the wreckage. Guests whispered, and I felt like a spectacle on display for their morbid curiosity. Richard was sweating bullets, trying to defend himself, but each word seemed weaker than the last. He looked like a man on the edge of losing everything. I dropped the bouquet, a flurry of white petals twirling at my feet. It felt symbolic, freeing myself from the weight of devastation, even though disbelief still lingered. I glanced at Mandy, whose firm stance never wavered, her expression resolute, protecting me from further false promises. Family ties held in one defending glare. As I walked away, my steps were heavy with the weight of humiliation. Yet each step felt lighter, with the release of persistent deception rooting me in place. Outside, the late afternoon sun filtered through the trees, a world that existed beyond my crumbling life. My dress was heavy, a misplaced fairy tale costume. I sat on a stone bench. The air was still, yet filled with echoes of what happened inside. I felt a quiet numbness, a relief in its absence of feeling. A gentle breeze lifted the edges of my dress, a poignant contrast to the storm inside me. I could hear voices fading. I had abandoned their pity party. Mandy joined me without a word, her presence grounding like a silent promise. Together, we breathed in the silent sanctuary nature offered, away from judgmental murmurs. Our brief silence was broken by her saying, "You deserve better." Although it was just a few words, they were like an anchor in my stormy sea of emotions. I nodded, finally accepting the raw truth Mandy revealed. In that moment, I decided not to fall victim to Richard's betrayal. I was owed more than lies. The sun dipped lower, painting the garden in hues of gold and orange. It felt like the end of an era, the beginning of something new, albeit painful. As we began our walk back to the house, I dreaded the inevitable confrontations and explanations. Yet, arm in arm with Mandy, I felt strangely prepared. We entered the now quiet house, confronting a seemingly vacant reception that still bore memories of my shattered ceremony. I could sense residual whispers in the air. Richard was waiting, someone I'd planned a future with, now a stranger. His demeanor was muted, eyes searching for my forgiveness in unspoken admission of guilt. I looked at him, words foreign to what I ever imagined for this day. "It's over," I whispered. A finality and acceptance, not defeat. His mouth opened, but no words formed. An air of regret hovered between us like echoes of a symphony that would never be played. He didn't fight back. The bouquet I'd discarded earlier appeared crumpled in a corner, a metaphor of broken vows and deception. It was heartbreak made tangible, yet I didn't mourn it. I turned away, each step toward freedom. Mandy joined me, our hearts sinking in unspoken strength. There was no applause, but our departure was noble. With each step away from Richard, I shed layers of illusion. My fingertips burned with new reality, every sensation vivid under its clarity. I needed this. Outside, the day was ending in pastel colors across the sky, marking a future unexplored. I hadn't planned this journey, yet it was mine to now shape. "Time to go," Mandy said gently, and we walked together, arms linked. Trees lined the path, witnesses only to strength in unity and departure from darkness. The still air embraced us like the acceptance of our fate. With each step away, I released and rewrote expressions, clear manuscripts of my heart's wounds. We finally stepped into Mandy's car, familiar and warm, safe amongst its worn leather and comforting memories, an emblem of our travels and closeness. As the engine purred, invoking my new beginning, I felt the clutch of deception loosen. Hope whispered modestly in the rhythm of our venture onward, leaving behind remnants of a past that almost bound me. I resolved to rise above what I once accepted. Each mile was a testament to resilience, born anew. Driving away felt like leaving a nightmare, sunlight piercing through. As Richard's broken vows loomed, I sat there, stunned, grappling with my shattered reality. Mandy, next to me, seemed like my only anchor. Her confession felt both healing and heartbreaking, a bitter truth on such a day. Mandy's whisper echoed, "I had to tell you. You deserve better." Her words were a mix of balm and betrayal, slicing through the silence. In response, I asked, "Why today?" My voice wavered, understanding the necessity, but not the cruel immediacy of the truth revealed. Mandy's silence was deafening, each moment of quiet punctuated by the hum of the engine. Her loyalty shook the foundations of our sisterhood. As the car stopped, I inhaled deeply, reality gnawing at me. The illusion of a perfect life shattered by truth's cruel touch. Leaving the car, I felt like a spectator in my own life. Each step heavy with the weight of betrayed dreams. I stood outside the venue, feeling surreal amidst the cheerless decorations that now seemed ridiculously out of place. The laughter and music meant for celebration only intensified my hollow despair, a cruel juxtaposition to my inner turmoil. Holding the ring, its weight a symbol of empty promises, I couldn't help but feel the world shrinking around its cold certainty. Moving inside, the silence felt suffocating, each step resonating with the echoes of an unfulfilled future that had seemed so close. I reached the altar, now an empty stage, a stark reminder of promises broken, vows unspoken, and dreams scattered to the wind. An unexpected memory surfaced, Richard's laughter, inevitably triggering the emotional floodgates, grief mixing with anger in a cruel dance. I stumbled back outside, the chilling wind a shocking contrast, awakening resolve within me to reclaim my strength. Mandy appeared beside me, her presence a quiet reassurance amidst my emotional storm, offering a hand and an understanding silence. We walked away from the venue, the unspoken pact between us strengthening with each step, my grief gradually morphing into a determination to move forward. Back in the car, the road stretched out before us, a daunting but necessary journey towards healing and new beginnings. Night fell, stars appearing like fragile promises in the expansive sky, as Mandy and I talked about everything and nothing, weaving a tapestry of mutual support. I found solace in the rhythm of our conversation, each word a subtle reminder of the stairs I could climb, one at a time, towards reclaiming my life. At a rest stop, Mandy and I sat on the hood, contemplating the distance covered and the strength yet to find within ourselves. Breaking the silence, a sudden question hung between us. What now? It felt like both an end and a beginning. Laughing softly, I realized the question could be a gift, a starting line instead of a barrier, as Mandy squeezed my hand with silent encouragement. With a newfound resolve, we decided to drive towards tomorrow, towards anything and everything that lay ahead together. The road, vast and mysterious under a canvas of stars, felt like a symbol of our journey. The whispers of the past faded with each mile. As the night deepened, music played softly, its rhythm syncing with my heartbeat, marking the passage of time and healing of wounds. The road seemed endless but comforting, like a companion to our shared silence that spoke volumes without words. The first hints of dawn crept over the horizon, a sign of new beginnings, painting our future with shades of hope and redemption. As dawn spread its colors, I whispered to Mandy, "We keep moving, right?" Her nod was the assurance I needed, a promise to face the unknown together. Driving forward, the sun finally peeked over the horizon, bathing everything in light, as if illuminating our path and purpose anew. With newfound courage, Mandy and I embraced the road ahead, the future unwritten, but within our grasp. proving that broken vows weren't the end of our stories. For weeks, I hid away, with my wedding dress tucked in my closet, a ghostly reminder of an almost life. The ache was everywhere, filling the echoes of my apartment. Friends tried breaking the silence, but their attempts felt like whispers in a hurricane. Their concern floated around me, but the emptiness was louder. Richard's apologies were just noise buried in messages and voicemails. Each word felt hollow, echoing out and returning to nothing. I silenced each apology like dismissing unwanted calls in the dead of night, needing the quiet more than explanations. "I need you to talk about it, Emily," Mandy said gently one evening. Her eyes were filled with concern and a touch of impatience. "I can't." "Not yet," was all I managed to say. The refuge of my isolation felt like a shield against the world. Each glimpse of the dress teased a haunting question. Was it ever real? The shifts in light always caught the sheen of the fabric. As daylight faded, the room would sit in near silence. Only my slow breaths broke the stillness as I lay staring at the ceiling. One evening, I ventured to the balcony, seeking solace in the cool air. The city lights flickered like distant stars, lost in a fog of my thoughts. I remembered the night Richard proposed, the promise of forever feeling like a soft, whispering dream under the moonlit sky. Suddenly, a loud knock broke my reverie. Mandy stood there, determination on her face, breaking through the walls I'd built. "I'm not leaving until we talk," Mandy announced, her voice a rare mixture of firmness and love. She's always been my rock in moments like this. I hesitated, but eventually opened up, my words tumbling over each other as tears flowed freely. It was cathartic and terrifying at the same time. Together, Mandy and I unpacked the dreams I'd buried. Every word pulled at the knots I'd tied around my heart. Mandy's voice was steady as she gently shattered my sanctuary, reminding me of the world outside that still waited at my door. It was then I realized how much I'd missed the world, how fear had kept me captive in a cocoon of denial and regret. We talked until dawn. Every word seemed to stitch parts of me back together. Emotionally exhausted but lighter, I felt a piece of hope again. Mandy left as the sun rose, leaving me with renewed energy to face what I'd been running from. The morning felt strangely bright. I spent the morning cleaning, shedding the layers of dust and denial that had settled over me, slowly rediscovering my space and my life. I pulled the dress from its hiding place. Its soft satin touch felt different now. It was no longer a specter, but a remnant, a relic. Instead of grief, I felt gratitude for experiences that shaped me. The dress wasn't a chain, it was a chapter, now closed but cherished. In that moment, I realized my heart was ready to heal, and healing felt like stepping out from the shadows into a new dawn. A knock at the door broke the serene morning, almost as if setting my new path into motion. It felt like the universe was smiling back. I answered full of readiness, a soft smile on my lips. Mandy grinned, holding coffee and hope, as if signaling the start of something new. We sat and sipped in companionable silence, the kind that speaks volumes, the unspoken promise of shared journeys and brighter days ahead. I felt my heartbeat syncing with the world outside, alive and aware. Life felt vivid again, with a pulse of anticipation and peace. The city below unfolded like a blank page, and for the first time in months, I was ready to write my story anew, unchained and free. As Mandy left, I waved goodbye without the heaviness of before, her silhouette becoming a symbol of support and renewal. Turning back inside, my space looked different, energized by new intent. I began to embrace the possibilities. Every breath ahead felt like a gift. I looked forward to new beginnings, the darkness receding. The sanctuary was no longer a hiding place, but the cocoon of a newfound strength. Against my better judgment, I set out to meet Richard, anxiety tightening my chest. The drive through unfamiliar streets felt both endless and too short, anticipation tangling with dread. Seeing Richard waiting at the cafe, his eyes held a pleading sorrow that made my heart heavy with suspicion. Could I really face him after everything? The moment our eyes met, memories rushed back like a turbulent wave crashing against a fragile shore. His presence pulled at the old scars. "Emily," Richard began, but I cut him off. Anger erupted, seeping through words I couldn't fully control. I had to know why this abyss yawned between us now. Richard paused, the flicker of guilt playing across his eyes like a haunting echo. My questions felt like jagged stones thrown, aimed at breaking his facade. His voice was barely above a whisper. It wasn't about you. The weight of his confession released a fury within me that I'd struggled to contain. I sat there, feeling the truth slip through my fingers, like trying to grasp smoke in the air. His explanation was filled with words I couldn't accept. Richard's justification sounded like the brittle pages of an old book, fragile and insubstantial under the weight of reality. Anger surged again, sharper, like ice. In that broken confession lay the truth I dreaded. Some rifts remained untouched by time, some lies were insurmountable. I felt the cold grip of his betrayal anew. Our parting words hung in the air, unresolved, a shadow of what we once shared darkening the path ahead. I turned to leave, void of absolution. The familiar ding of my phone pulled me back to reality. His message, a last resort or a desperate hope, blinked persistently like a beacon in the fog. "Can we meet again?" it read. I hesitated, the emotional labyrinth stretching endless before me, but an odd flicker of resolve was ignited within. Against every instinct caution beckoned, I texted back, "Yes." And the word hummed ominously between us, a fragile lifeline or a futile endeavor. Days passed in a fog of monotonous routine, the echo of his voice still dancing in my mind like a ghost I couldn't dispel. Our eventual meeting loomed ahead, both comfort and dread familiar companions. I knew I'd need to face him again, one way or another, and I prepared accordingly. The cafe was a different one this time. A quiet corner brimming with autumnal light filtering through half-shuttered windows, promising both clarity and shadow. Richard sat waiting. Same coat, but a different aura. As if the weight of unspoken words had carved new images onto his soul. I approached slowly, each step measured like a dance with fortune. The air between felt charged, a promise or a warning impossible to tell. Our conversation opened tentatively, fragile attempts at reconciliation, stitched between observations and shared memories, a fabric easily torn. A sudden silence engulfed us, as if acknowledging the deepest truth between us, yet the silence brought a strange kind of peace, an unspoken understanding. Against the backdrop of our silence, a child's laughter pierced through, a world continuing despite our personal winners. It brought melancholy, but also clarity. Richard's admission disrupted the quiet, his voice quivering on the edge of tears. I saw vulnerability emerge, raw and naked, exposing a deeper fracture. In that fragile admission, I glimpsed a more complex truth. Through the anger and betrayal, a shared humanity, stark but strangely warming, began taking shape. A quiet determination settled within me. Not all was lost, and perhaps a path forward existed amid the ruins. The future, though uncertain, flickered with possibility. Our departure from the cafe felt less like an ending and more an interlude, a pause before an unknown journey. The air was charged with quiet potential. Evening settled in, stars attempting to break through the city's haze. Beneath the sky, the world felt expansive, the future vast and ripe with mystery. As we parted ways, a gentle understanding blossomed, like a tiny green shoot breaking through concrete. It was fragile, but signaled a new beginning. The drive home was different. A sense of peace enveloped me, a willingness to embrace the uncertainty that lay ahead. Maybe I wasn't entirely lost. Home felt welcoming in its familiar imperfection, a refuge despite the turmoil outside. I realized that healing would take time, but I was ready to start. Sitting in my armchair, tea steaming gently nearby, I finally allowed myself a long breath, feeling the weight slowly lift, knowing some shadows would always linger. Returning home, the truth felt oppressive, ready to crush my resolve. Mandy's revelation, initially mild, uncovered deeper family fractures I hadn't anticipated. "Why didn't you tell me before?" I demanded over a tense dinner. My voice shook with disbelief, echoing in the silence that had settled among us. Mandy looked like she carried 1,000 unspoken words. Her eyes, wide and searching, met mine, revealing layers she seemed afraid to explore. "Mom knew," Mandy confessed, her voice trembling slightly. The shock of my mother's complicity pierced me, deeper than I could have anticipated. Richard's betrayal seemed smaller compared to the web of deceit my mother wove. The facade of familial peace crumbled, revealing jagged emotional edges. Each word Mandy spoke pierced through illusions I'd let thrive. The undercurrents of deceit felt like needles, each revelation weaving a heavier tapestry. The evening dissolved into an uncomfortable silence, jagged truths scattered around us like broken glass. I felt dangerously trapped within undeniable truths. I picked up the shards of deception Mandy's stories left, each painfully shining with layers of hidden grudges I hadn't known existed. As evening folded into night, every shadow seemed to whisper truths too painful to broach. I was surrounded by echoes, my mind racing with revelations. The truth felt heavier as time ticked by, the burden of Mandy's revelations settling into a new normal I hadn't asked for, but couldn't ignore. In the quiet of night, I realized that every sigh, every whisper was filled with hidden pain. Mandy's story now a burden only I knew fully. I couldn't escape the feeling of betrayal lingering in the air. It was a dull ache that wouldn't quite leave, shaping a new reality to live by. In the morn, I pushed through the layers of deceit, determined to face them head-on. Mandy's revelation was both a curse and an awkward gift of understanding. A new day began with jagged edges, a scarring reminder that truth was here to stay. I felt a strange mix of anger and clarity confronting it. Every interaction felt weighted by Mandy's revelations. Our conversations laced with undercurrents I couldn't ignore, despite the pretense maintained. Mandy's truth seeped into every mundane detail. The familiarity of life seemed tainted by invisible secrets. I was haunted with awareness. The gentle hum of the household felt off-kilter, a reminder that trust was fickle but necessary. Now a delicate balance between old and new reality. Emotion surged unexpectedly as I grappled with knowing too much, feeling the sting of betrayal sharper than yesterday's reckoning. I rode a wave of unfiltered feelings. Each revelation Mandy shared reshaped my view, knitting discomfort into understanding that I couldn't easily cast aside. I wondered if confronting these truths was a form of freedom or a reprisal. Mandy's confessions forced me to redefine what family means. Surprise gripped me unexpectedly when Mandy broke into tears, the burden of secrets unraveling. Her emotion was raw and unfiltered, collapsing timelines. Her breakdown felt like a release. The burden of secrets had lent itself to a moment of vulnerable honesty shared between us, shifting the emotional terrain. Our shared vulnerability created unexpected unity. It felt like we were piecing together a new, albeit fractured, understanding of who we were as a family now. Revelations, now spoken aloud, filled the air with weighty truth. Yet the freedom of acknowledgement brought a sliver of peace as evening shadows deepened. The cycle of emotional turmoil had begun to wane, leaving an opening for processing, understanding where we go from here with newfound clarity. I felt the depth of our core shift, the raw honesty now woven into once hidden corners of our lives. Change was daunting but inevitable. The morning promised new beginnings, as Mandy's revelations lay undisturbed in the quiet spaces. Inside me was a strange, hopeful anticipation. Reflections of past secrets shaped each thought, a burden lifted slightly off my shoulders as I stepped into this emotion-rich day. Understanding had shifted our interaction. Mandy's story, once burdensome, now helped us navigate with tentative steps, uncovering ourselves anew. We closed the day, embracing a new, delicate fragility. The burden of secrets, now openly shared, became the groundwork for a rebuilding trust. I remember sitting alone in my dimly lit room, feeling the disappointment creep in like a silent intruder. The betrayal was suffocating, and my mother's absence made everything worse. The pain had me questioning everything, even my sanity. My mother refused to make eye contact or have any direct conversations, as if I was invisible to her. I felt like I was drowning in disappointment, submerged in a sea of deception. Every breath was a struggle to surface from the depths of despair. On rainy nights, as raindrops trailed down the window, I whispered to myself in the darkness, questioning my worth and what led to such betrayal. Emotion clouded my judgment, wrapping around me like a blanket of fog. I was trapped within myself, unable to escape the pain that gripped my chest. One evening, as I sat lost in my thoughts, my friend Mandy knocked softly at my door. Her presence offered comfort I was too apprehensive to accept. Mandy's gentle voice promised I would get through it, but doubt lingered like a shadow. I couldn't yet embrace the possibility of healing in my fractured world. Days blurred together as the storm within me raged on. Every moment felt suspended in uncertainty, leaving me depleted and uncertain about what came next. I spent afternoons in solitude, lingering in places that had once brought comfort, but now echoed my inner turmoil and endless questions about betrayal. Unexpectedly, I found a dusty old diary in Mom's room. It unlocked the past and revealed truths that changed everything, yet added another layer of complexity. As I flipped through the pages, I realized my mother's secrets spanned decades of hidden pain, prompting a blend of empathy and anger to rise within me. With every revealed secret, my perception shifted. It was an unexpected twist. Pain seemed intertwined with understanding, yet betrayal still stung deeply. Though anger simmered beneath my surface, I knew I had to confront my mother and unravel the layers of deception that filled both our lives. The confrontation was tense. My mother looked away, her stoic silence speaking volumes more than any words could have. It was painful, yet necessary. The truth was bitter, unveiling years of misconceptions. My heart was heavy, but amidst the disappointment was a sliver of hope for something new. Mandy invited me for coffee, hoping to lighten the load a bit. As I entered the cafe, everything felt like a new chapter beckoning to begin. We talked until the sun faded away, laughter interspersing moments of sober reflection. Mandy was a rock I hadn't appreciated until now. Despite the newfound clarity, unanswered questions lingered like whispers. Yet the weight on my chest felt lighter, as if Mandy had taken some of it upon herself. Later that night, as I lay in bed, the familiar heaviness was replaced by a fragile sense of hope, a promise that maybe healing was truly within reach. Days passed, weaving together a patchwork of emotions. They lingered at the intersection of new revelations and the anticipation of what could be. The longing for answers, though haunting, gradually softened. It grew into quiet acceptance that not every piece could be understood or resolved immediately. Mandy persisted in being my anchor. We wandered through city streets, moments shared in silence and conversation, basking in an unspoken understanding. During one such stroll, a surprising admission from Mandy startled me. Her own struggles mirrored mine in ways I hadn't imagined. Deepening our shared resolve, her honesty forged a stronger bond between us. Suddenly, the ties of friendship seemed like a lifeline that could pull both of us through our respective labyrinths. I returned home, stepping through the door with a lighter heart. Mandy's presence transformed despair into quiet hope, signaling the start of genuine healing. For the first time, the grim silence that filled our home seemed less oppressive. My mother's guarded gestures hinted at a shared willingness to try anew. I started piecing things together, embarking on a journey to rebuild trust. An open diary lay before me, representing the past and the possibility of change. Mandy and I collaborated on projects, our bond growing through shared interests. The work brought moments of joy and purpose, new beginnings born from adversity. I gradually embraced forgiveness, mindful that every step forward was part of the healing process. It was a slow journey, but one I was finally ready to undertake. With each passing day, I felt the layers of deception recede. The storm began clearing, revealing a gentle path towards healing I had once thought impossible. The morning sun filtered softly through the curtains as I came to a realization. Clarity began to replace weeks of anger, offering me a fragile sense of peace. Instead of feeling consumed by Mandy's betrayal, I sensed it was a reluctant gift, pushing me towards authenticity and realizing truths I had ignored. I quietly vowed, I won't let this define me. listening to the birds outside heralding a new dawn and giving rise to fresh hope. Mandy joined me for coffee, sitting across the table with a reassuring presence that hinted at change, not more betrayal. Her voice was steady as she said, "Sometimes new beginnings are born from chaos," offering me a way to find strength in circumstance. I accepted that despite the broken pieces life had become, these could actually pave a path leading out of desperation. Embracing my story, I understood it held power, a path to liberate myself from turmoil and redefine my journey thoughtfully. Leaving the kitchen, I moved to the living room. The space felt different, like it was waiting for something new to begin, and I was ready. Mandy began speaking about her mistakes, a conversation we avoided for weeks. Her honesty made the air feel lighter, more negotiable. Listening to Mandy, I felt an unexpected compassion rising within me, an understanding of her flaws, and a shared humanity. We sat quietly. The living room became a sanctuary where forgiveness felt possible, and pathways to healing emerged slowly from the silence. Mandy reached across the table. Her touch wasn't just forgiving, it was transformative, turning suspicion into trust. A new rhythm entered our conversation, one that felt akin to rebirth and offered space for understanding rather than judgment. As we talked, I realized that sharing stories wasn't just therapeutic. It was a bond forming, forging strength from fragility. The weight of past betrayals began to dissolve, replaced by a fragile yet strengthening thread of hope between us. I moved to the porch, the evening air crisp against my skin, symbolizing a breath of fresh slate, untouched and ready for renewal. Birds calling in the distance felt like an invitation to step into the unknown future, promising new songs and stories to be woven. Mandy joined me on the porch, her presence no longer unwelcome, but carrying the weight of a shared, understood history. With quiet comfort, we sat as the sky darkened, marking the end of tumult and heralding a soft resilience, ready to bloom. The stars began to show, flickering like distant dreams, whispering future possibilities, each one reminding us of our unwritten narratives. I felt a quiet commitment to embracing the uncertainty, seeing it not as a void, but a blank page with potential. Mandy shared her hopes as well. Her voice was a tender promise of renewal, a mutual forging of something better. I knew it wasn't just about mending what was broken, but weaving new threads with stories that spoke of growth, resolving silently to step forward despite fears of the unknown. I saw possibilities as bridges toward dreams yet left unspoken. Returning indoors, the cozy warmth welcomed me back to the heart of beginnings, a place where stories are shared and trust is kindled anew. Mandy watched silently, a quiet acknowledgement between us that this was the start of something more resilient than before. With stories untangling like threads between us, the room captured the promise of renewal, sheltering us. As we began anew, night crept silently in, drawing quiet shadows around us, cocooning the shared resolution and newfound paths where trust could rebuild. Reflecting on our evening, it became clear that in darkness, a glow can emerge, if anchored by sincerity and shared understanding. Breathing out quietly, I embraced the night's quietude as I saw my story unfold, not as linear, but woven with strands of acceptance. I approached my mom's house with a mix of anxiety and determination, determined to get the answers I'd sought for so long. Inside my mom's living room, everything seemed frozen in time, a stark reminder of unspoken emotions. Facing her across the room, I boldly said, "Mom, we need to talk." As the words hung heavily in the air, her eyes mirrored pain and confusion, unearthing years of decisions she made alone, struggling to explain. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice cracking under the weight of hidden truths. She sighed deeply, remorse evident in her expression, as she quietly answered, "Because I was afraid." Her explanation unraveled years of silence, a sincerity that both stung and soothed my heart. Realizing she was protecting me all along, I felt a surge of emotions, torn between gratitude and betrayal. Our conversation drifted through unexpected revelations, a path winding through shadows of our shared past. Accepting the complexity of her reasons, I sensed a fragile healing beginning to tether our fragmented bond. Breaking the heaviness, we transitioned into the kitchen, both seeking a more nurturing environment to continue. As she brewed tea, her posture softened. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice tender yet firm. Her apology seeped through my defenses, coaxing out a reluctant forgiveness I didn't know I had. Together, we reminisced about moments overshadowed by secrets, the air thick with bittersweet nostalgia. As the afternoon waned, shadows stretched across the room, mirroring the journey from hurt to hope. Unearthing forgotten memories, we pieced together laughter and love, slowly rebuilding our shattered timeline. In a moment of vulnerability, she showed me an old family picture, one with faint smiles and hidden meanings. The photo was a bridge, connecting past misunderstandings with newfound clarity and acceptance. We spent the afternoon piecing together fragments of our history, understanding slowly shaking off dust. She tore down walls constructed from fear, revealing stories of strength and depth I never imagined. As dusk approached, we sat in silence, the air dense with a new understanding and silent gratitude. Her stories knitted gaps in my life, filling voids with the warmth of truth and acceptance. We began laughing over shared memories, the room now brimming with echoes of our rekindled bond. Her laughter turned serious as she shared the most difficult part of her past, adding weight to our reconciliation. I absorbed her words, feeling each one cement our renewed relationship, solidifying trust and understanding. The weight of truth now light and shared, I felt for the first time the closeness I had longed for. As twilight arrived, we began clearing away the tokens of our past, ready to face the future together. With the day fading, my courage and understanding intensifying, I knew this was just the beginning. As I prepared to leave, she hugged me tightly, her warmth cementing our transformed relationship. Stepping out into the night, I felt lightened and ready to face whatever my journey may bring next. After breaking from Richard, I felt trapped in a room of faded dreams. Every day was a step to find me again, to make my space a reflection of hope. I started reclaiming bits of myself by redecorating each room with colors that spoke to my soul, every piece chosen with care and meaning. Mandy's visit brought cheerful chatter and companionship. Her presence was reassuring, nudging me further along the path of healing. As we were having lunch, the happiness in Mandy's eyes mirrored the relief in my soul. My journey was noticeable even to her. Over lunch, I surprised myself by declaring my plans to travel, reclaiming dreams once lost amidst the chaos. Packing bags for a journey felt like turning a page in my life, each item placed with expectation and hope. Realization burst forth. Leaving Richard would not dampen my spirit. It was the dawn of claiming back my life's narrative. The last goodbye in the rearview mirror was a leap into freedom. I drove away with newfound courage. Unexpected silence followed the initial euphoria, a stillness enveloping me as I embraced the journey ahead. In that calm, I reflected on choices, feeling deeply that reclaiming lost dreams was like catching glimpses of a forgotten self. One evening, under a sky full of stars, I paused to feel gratitude for the steps taken, cherishing the new beginnings. Exploring new places filled me with excitement, and each footfall felt like reclaiming territory lost to fear. I found solace in unfamiliar settings where old anxieties dissolved amidst the beauty of discovery. Despite occasional waves of doubt, strength lay in embracing each day's possibilities like freedom's gift. A pivotal moment came during a quiet morning hike. I realized reclaiming dreams meant creating new stories, not reliving old ones. I began documenting my journey with photos, each snapshot a testimony to the courage it took to find new beginnings. Unexpectedly, the solitude of traveling alone reminded me of who I was before Richard, curious and unbound. Every interaction and moment was a piece procured for rebuilding my life's mosaic, weaving warmth through previously cold corners. I saw myself unfold with newfound clarity, seeing life's colors echoed in the smiles of strangers made friends. There's magic in following one's path. I began to recognize the patterns of my growth, like threads weaved into a rebirth. My journey led to unexpected encounters, like strangers turned mentors who gave me fresh perspectives, and strength. In moments of quiet reflection, I could clearly see that reclaiming dreams was about choosing joy over fear, embracing change. Now, as I traveled further, footprints marked my path of discovery, each stride a testament of my resilience. Unexpectedly vulnerable moments were present, yet through these I embraced strength, realizing reclaiming dreams takes patience. Doorways to past memories appeared, though they no longer haunted me. They became milestones, marking how far I had come. In vibrant cityscapes, I saw fragments of dreams once deferred, now swirling around in life's energetic pulse. Evenings amidst colorful lights taught me embracing hope meant illuminating paths beyond past shadows. Morning sunrises held whispers of healing, offering untrodden paths to new beginnings, eagerly awaiting discovery. This journey became a canvas colored by experiences, nourishing fragments of dreams once fragmented, now whole. Before embarking further, I held the realization close that reclaiming dreams was personal, a unique path of growth, embracing hope. Sitting at the bustling airport, I reflected on my journey here, shedding layers of doubt and starting fresh. I held Mandy's hand, appreciating her unwavering support and turning betrayal into strength. "Thank you," I whispered to Mandy, acknowledging the sisterhood that endured many storms together. Mandy encouraged me, her words sparking a newfound energy for my path ahead. As my flight was announced, I took one last look at the life I was leaving behind. With each step towards the plane, an unseen weight lifted from me, replaced by hope. I vowed not to carry past burdens into this new phase, feeling lighter than I ever did before. Walking down the airplane aisle, I chose to embrace the woman I had become, whole and resilient. Settling into my seat, I let my eyes drift shut, the promise of new beginnings soothing my mind. As the plane took off, I could feel the possibilities unfurling. Each cloud we passed a metaphor for freedom. Looking out the window, I smiled as distant memories began to fade. Making space for new adventures, the airplane hummed, a comforting reminder of journeys both internal and external, crossing boundaries. I let go of fear for the future, embracing life's uncertainties as part of the adventure. A passenger across the aisle smiled knowingly, embodying a shared understanding of life's unpredictable journey. The in-flight announcement stirred emotions, a sense of community, fractals of stories all around me. I imagined the airport behind us, a place of transition, where paths crisscrossed in joyous and tearful departures. Recollections of past fears faded, forming a tapestry of journeys that led to newfound resolution. As the flight continued, each minute became a chapter, rewriting who I am and who I want to be. I scribbled goals in a notebook, each word a step away from past illusions and closer to authenticity. Closing my notebook, I felt aligned with my journey, truth embracing every scribbled dream and hope. I found myself smiling without effort, an indication of inner peace and the joy of reconciliation. Reflecting on Mandy's words, "Go find your happiness," I made a silent promise to live by them. Suddenly, a child's laughter disrupted my thoughts, a reminder of life's simple pleasures. Amidst cabin chatter, I felt connected to everyone's journey, embracing an unspoken bond of shared humanity. Soon, a song played through my headphones, perfectly capturing the essence of rediscovery. The soothing melody tempered the hum of the engines, wrapping me in a cocoon of reflection. Clouds outside drifted gently by, reflecting my calm yet focused heart rhythm. I realized I was forging a new path, one not bound by others' expectations. As the destination neared, anticipation replaced uncertainty. The ground felt close, the future tangible. When we landed, stepping into the future felt like stepping into a sunrise. Everything was possible again.